Okay, so yes, I'm Mary. I'm a librarian at the University of Lethbridge. And the university is located on Treaty 7 lands in southern Alberta. It is the traditional territory of the Niitsitapi people and home to many other Indigenous peoples and communities. I am primarily responsible for Indigenous programs at the university in the liaison model. And part of my work involves teaching full semester information literacy courses, which is kind of unusual. Usually we get one-shots, but at University of Lethbridge, there are a couple info lit courses that run full semesters, 3-credit courses. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the OER I use in the classroom and how students engage with it, the challenges and benefits of working with an OER to teach information literacy. So when I began my position at the university, I was given a few exercises, kind of photocopied exercises from some other teaching librarians, and a syllabus, which was quite helpful, but very different from the way that I understand information literacy instruction. So I had to make it my own. I came into librarianship with a background in teaching as a sessional. So I taught for academic writing, I taught literature, and I also taught women and gender studies. Most of the courses I had taught had textbooks that were assigned across the board, and then you just worked with them. And the ones that didn't, I would cobble together readings to try to make unique content. And that was particularly important to me when I taught at tribal colleges, because I wanted to provide students with content that was culturally relevant and culturally situated, respectful, and encourage them to see themselves in the stories. And a lot of times an anthology is sort of, it doesn't have that sort of targeted approach. So library instruction at the undergraduate level is, for the most part, a hands-on research project with a lot of time spent teaching advanced database searching, citation skills, and so on. So I looked for a book that was open access to provide the basic backdrop on which to hang the course and the practical skills that I wanted to show students how to achieve, I guess. And the Information Literacy User's Guide is that book. So it's just on the right-hand side of the screen there. And it's CC by NCSA, or Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike licensed text, but it was published in 2014, and it can be downloaded as a press book. And interestingly enough, I had a really hard time finding a textbook to teach information literacy that was open access. So there are several reasons I chose that book, one being that there weren't a lot of options, but also my first thought as a librarian was that I can't promote open on campus if I'm asking students to purchase a textbook. It's unethical, I think, quite frankly. So if we believe in the open project and expect faculty to support the open project, then I think we need to lead by example. From a philosophical standpoint, I believe the first year experience should include an academic writing class and a library research skills class. And these are the two areas where most students, as you go, like when you're teaching and you get into upper level courses, I find that a lot of students still don't have those skills. And I wish that it was a part of the first year of experience. So that's another, that's another platform, not for this conversation, but I think it's important. As I mentioned, the Information Literacy User's Guide contains the basics of what students should know about information literacy and information behavior. And the goal of the book is to help students understand meta-literacy and how essential it is to university learners and also just to being out in the world now. So it's organized around the SCONUL, or SCONUL, 7 pillars of information literacy, which are more common in Commonwealth countries in the UK, but are, I think, the way that they're framed in this textbook, they're more accessible than perhaps the American Library Association's framework for information literacy, which is a little more vague, I guess. Another benefit of the OER is, of course, that it's free information. So I can download it to Pressbooks, I can swap chapters out, I can add readings from elsewhere, and it's adaptable. The issues include that it's outdated. So because it was created in 2014, some areas, specifically in the sort of online environment, have evolved quite rapidly, and they're not properly represented in the text. For example, here's a quote from the book. Today, information is still published in traditional formats as well as in new and evolving formats on the internet. These new information formats are loosely defined as Web 2.0 formats and can include electronic journals, books, news websites, blogs, Twitter, Facebook, and location postings. Web 2.0 isn't something that we talk about too much anymore, I don't think. And responsive web design is already a given. So that kind of stuff is a bit outdated, but students don't seem aware of that. So it also gives me a place where I can talk about the evolution of technology, where we're at now, and add in some current content. Since the onset of the pandemic, using a digital OER has been quite difficult for me in terms of not being in the classroom, because many students are in rural areas in the programs that I teach in, and they don't have good internet access. So some people have none at all, and some people have poor access. And then there's also the devices that people have. A lot of people are working off their phone and things like that. So this past year is the first time that I had students ask for a printed text. So the bookstore printed up a limited run. I got the number of students and gave them that, and they printed it up, and I think they charged $19. So it wasn't free, but it was still fairly low cost. And so what do students say about using an OER? I've had quite a few comments about the text being free. They also appreciate the idea of open, because we talk a lot about Creative Commons licensing in the course. And once students learn about the open movement, they're shocked. They're shocked by the predatory nature of traditional academic publishing. So it's a good way to get that conversation going as well. And they certainly appreciate that this one is free. So I do try to avoid also the language around saying that databases in the university library are free for students to use, because they're actually paying quite a bit of tuition to get access to those resources. And I think that we need to be mindful of that. It's something that you hear people say, but it's not actually free. This book is actually free. Another frequent comment is how easy the access is for students. So besides the digital poverty issue, a lot of students appreciate that they can look at it anytime, they can download it, they can just look at it online, they access it different ways. I put it in the Moodle shell at the beginning in the syllabus information, but then I link the chapters into each lesson too, so they can access it that way as well. So it needs an update, as I've pointed out, and it was timely that I heard about Pressbooks just before, because I know that at University of Lethbridge we have access to that. And that is a project that I need to work on. I think that's about it. It's something that I need to update. And I would like to thank everyone for listening to me. And if you have any questions about my work, I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks.